viewed him, you could see it pretty good.
Yeah.
You don't have my head in it, do you?
The guy who's sitting in front, when she spoke, it's funny because he took up like her whole lower half. But
Okay.
My whole lower half?
yeah,
You need to tell people. I need to tell people because I'll move out of. I mean, that's the worst when you get a video and there's somebody's head is in the way. All right. So wait a minute. We only have. Oh no, Katrina. No, Chevy has to do persuasive. Okay. Yeah. So we have 3. Go ahead.
At both the ages of 3 and 4, children attend a complex patchwork of different programs, whether it be preschool, after-school programs, Head Start, kindergarten, childcare, and daycare. And in 2005, 70% of 4-year-olds were in some type of school and program, whether that be preschool or full-day daycare after school. What I'd like to talk to you today about is why you should put your child into preschool before they go into kindergarten. Why should your child attend preschool before kindergarten? Now you may be wondering, or even you don't have kids, you don't want kids. Every day you encounter people on the street, in your job, you encounter other people's children. At some point, everyone has experienced some sort of schooling, for the most part. And we, even as college students, experience that schooling as well. And so I'd like to educate you and persuade you as to why you should send your child to preschool before they take their first year into kindergarten. Despite all of the issues with preschool, be that cost or difficulties getting into school, children are still attending school. According to the National Household Education Survey, or the NHES, 69% of 4-year-olds and 43% of 3-year-olds were in programs in 2005, compared with 59% and 41% in 1991. So parents are still sending their children to school, and even more parents are sending their children to school now than there were almost 20 years ago now. While the school day and work day has changed, and while a lot more children are in full day programs, it hasn't affected the preschool programs that typically run in the mornings. Even children whose parents do not work are still being sent to school. I work in a program that runs a preschool program in the morning from 8:45 to 11:45, and we see double the attendance in the morning that we do in our full day program. This is because children's parents do not work, but also because parents have realized that they do still need to send their children to preschool to get some sort of foundation before they enter into the world of kindergarten. And here are some of the reasons why that's necessary. One of the biggest things is the child's academic development. And over the past half century, preschool participation has increased, whether or not the parents are working. This is because mothers are realizing that while they do get to work with their child at home and teach their child things, they are not completely capable of teaching everything that a teacher is able to teach in a classroom. They're not necessarily exposed to the resources available to teachers and not able to provide that for their child. And so their child gets to go to preschool. It gives the child the benefit of having somebody that is also educated in the field teach them what the different letters and numbers and shapes. And every day I walk in and my children, we sing songs in the morning and we learn the alphabet. And they're learning from someone who has gone to school and has been educated in this field, as opposed to just their mother, who, while she might be educated, yes, some others are, it's not exactly the same. It's not the same learning environment. They're not separating work, school, and home. It also prepares the children for a regular academic education. A lot of children go into kindergarten and are made to sit for the day in a classroom. Now, if they're at home, they're running around, they're playing. But if they're in a preschool setting, there's structure there. And there is set times where they sit during circle time, or we read a story, or there are other things going on. And they start to learn to respond to discipline from somebody other than their parent. And they start to learn to respond to instruction from somebody other than their parent. It's easy as a parent to tell your child to do something, but it's a different thing when you're a teacher trying to explain to a child to sit in a chair for a couple hours to do a worksheet or to do an assignment. An analysis of state-funded programs in 13 states found statistically significant positive impacts on some aspects of children's development. These were state-funded programs that were free to the parents, and they found that there was a significant increase in academic development from those children that were involved in these programs. While they were underfunded, while they were underprivileged children, there was still a significant impact on them, as it would be across the board with any child that was exposed to a preschool program. Some of these schools were newer, some of them were older, but the result was the same, that even with pre-existing programs, children were still learning more in state-funded programs than they were had they just gotten straight into kindergarten. An article for the Health Division of U.S. News and World Report covered a survey. An article for the Health Division of U.S. News and World Report covered a study published in Psychological Science, stating that going to preschool appeared to be particularly beneficial for minority and poor children and for those whose parents didn't play to stimulate mental development. While this does draw more attention to parents that are not actively playing with their children, it also does speak something for the children that are in poor families, who may still be getting that development, but not as much as they would be getting in a preschool program. They're exposed to more knowledge. Like I said, there are more resources for preschool teachers that they're exposed to. There are more educational aspects that we have available to us that certain parents might not have access to or don't have the money to have access to. It also prepares these children, like I said, for better academic structures. One of the biggest things about sending your child to preschool the year before kindergarten, or even more than that, is that there is the ability for observation for academic delays. Children, according to autismspeaks.org, investigators found that preschool and daycare teachers can easily and effectively screen children for autism. As teachers, we know children, and we see them on a daily basis. We also see them in amongst their peers. What may seem like a simple not making eye contact with the parent could be something that is a sign of autism. Could be a way that as a teacher, we can see that your child might have this issue, and as a parent, you might not necessarily notice that. Or as somebody else hanging out with children, you might not necessarily notice the signs and indicators of autism or an ADHD delay. There are, working in preschool, I've seen this firsthand. There are 2 children. One child was assessed for autism. His parents put him through assessments, and he currently works with a one-to-one aide. So that person comes in and works with him directly so that they can address his autism, where his autism falls on the spectrum, and they can better adapt for him. The other child, unfortunately, was never assessed. His parents didn't believe that there was any issue, even though as the teachers we saw there was something going on. And unfortunately, he continues to struggle in school. This is something that at the preschool level, it can start to be fixed with the hope that in kindergarten and moving on, there won't be the need for that aid. They won't need to have special attention, and they'll be able to continue to grow as any normal child would. Researchers also found that in communities where English is a second language, these things are going undiagnosed longer because of the disconnect in communication between the parents and the teachers, and even just parents and doctors and observations of the children. What might seem like a cultural norm is not necessarily normal for your child or for other children. And teachers, like I said, can compare amongst the peers what is normal and what is different based on knowing the child and spending time with the child. Social skills are also something that is impacted by your child attending preschool. Research has documented that children without adequate social skills are at risk for peer rejection, behavioral problems, and academic problems. Being in a preschool program allows your child to interact with all different kinds of children from all different kinds of backgrounds, different genders, different family values, and because of this, your children are able to work through certain problems that they have with other children and learn how to deal with things in a social setting. As teachers, we are able to teach them and educate them on how to best work through their problems and communicate their needs and their wants and their desires without turning to fighting or anger or other ways that they might see at home that they might bring into the classroom. We are able, as teachers, to work with them and try to teach them what is an appropriate way to deal with their frustrations. Effective pre-social engagement and self-regulation appear closely linked with emotional competence and problem-solving abilities. They're better able to communicate with their peers in having had that preschool background. Placing children in school, the parent shows the child that the parent is involved, that the parent wants their academic best for that child. Kids see that mommy and daddy go to work, they go to school, and they learn and they grow. And if kindergarten is important, why isn't preschool important to these parents? Why not place your child in preschool to give them that better head start? When choosing the best preschool for your child, it's important to look into the best school for them. One that's either close to work or close to home, something that you feel comfortable with. Not every preschool is going to be right for your child, but preschool is the right choice for your child. Sending them to a preschool and giving them that early head start is what they need in order to academically, emotionally, and socially succeed in elementary school and beyond.
Woo!